Minecraft Dungeons is a game that has eluded my grasp for almost 3 years. It's sat there, patiently waiting in my backlog for its time in the spotlight, and finally, that day has come. As of the making of this video, Minecraft Dungeons is available on both Game Pass and PlayStation Plus. We're taking a look at the game on Xbox Series S. We are also playing the base game without the DLC, as that is the edition offered via Game Pass and PS Plus. We should also note that we played solo, not co-op. Game mechanics should be fun on their own, as anything is fun with friends. We cover a new game every week, so if you like what you see here, consider checking out some of our other videos and subscribing. And with that, we're digging straight down and letting you know if Minecraft Dungeons is worth your time.
But maybe you.
If I had to describe how I felt playing Minecraft Dungeons in one word, it would be bored. And I really hate that that is the conclusion I've come to here. The systems in this game all show promise, but are either too bare bones or feel too unrewarding. The main story campaign consists of 10 main levels, and in these levels there are mobs to fight, treasure to find, and an objective to complete, be it hitting switches or rescuing villagers. Once you beat the campaign, you can go back through and play again on a higher difficulty. The maps are procedurally generated, and this provides some variety, but not a lot. I will give the addition of secret levels some credit. These encourage exploration and provide some fun bonus content. Combat is the crux of the game, and unfortunately feels very unsatisfying. You have some tools at your disposal, a main weapon, a ranged weapon, armor, and free artifacts. Your weapons and armor can also be enchanted to unlock extra buffs. This is a fun system, but it never felt like I had enough enchantment points to really experiment with different builds. I always felt pretty railroaded into what I was already using. This is reflective of the overall progression of the game. It just feels too grindy. Once you pass the campaign on the laughably easy default difficulty, you jump up to Adventurer, which has a recommended level about double what you'll be, and that means it's time to grind, in the laughably easy difficulty. I'm also not entirely sure what the end goal here is, and it made the gameplay feel ultimately pointless. You complete levels to unlock more gear, to complete harder levels to unlock more gear, repeat ad infinite. The difficulty never really ramps up outside of the big section jumps, and it keeps the game feeling very flat. Some of the later weapons and enchantments are fun, but nothing felt worth the journey for me. To attack, you hit the A button. That's it. To use your ranged attack, you hit the right trigger. That's it. There's no extra depth here. I just mashed the two buttons for the admittedly short playtime and never had a problem outside of boredom. I do like the range of enemies because there are a lot here, creepers and skeletons and endermen and guardians. If it's in Minecraft, it's here, and there are even some new additions. The only enemy I outright hated were the shulker boxes. They're horrible in Minecraft and they're even worse here. Unfortunately, enemy AI is dumb as a rock, and there's never enough of them to feel like a real threat, either in the higher difficulties. I'd also like to touch on movement, because it just feels very unrefined. At a base level, you move very slowly, and it never feels fun to just move around. There are pieces of gear that buff your movement speed, but that gameplay foundation needs to be solid, and here it simply isn't. I do like the base camp functionality. Collecting different vendors and building out is fun, and provides some much needed permanent progression to the game, even if it feels very bare bones. I'd also like to talk about the tower, because this was easily my favourite part of the game, but even this has its issues. The tower turns Minecraft Dungeons from dungeon crawler to pseudo roguelite. There are 30 floors to conquer, and good loot to find at the end. On default difficulty, this is a breeze, but going up, it actually provided a pretty nice challenge. The idea here is that you start with nothing, and with every floor you complete, you get to pick a bit of gear. You can only carry one of everything, so must choose wisely what to keep and what to lose. The tower also has the benefit of letting you see the DLC portions of the game, which means more enemy variety and more level variety. The caveat to this is that once you've had that variety, it's kind of hard to go back to the base game. The loot you gain from the tower is also pretty good. It's a high risk, high reward game, and I enjoyed it for what it was. Unfortunately though, it does have issues. For starters, the tower resets every week and is the same layout the whole way through. Same floors, same loot, same enemies, same order. I don't like this choice as it completely strips away replayability for me. As a weekly challenge, this is a good call. It allows players that are struggling to learn the tower and grind out the rewards, but I think the game would do far better with an infinite, randomly generated tower that lets you just go as far as you can. The tower also suffers from the same difficulty issues that the rest of the game does. It's simply too easy. There were some parts that were a little bit of a challenge, but ultimately I was breezing through the towers and I was simply bored. Overall, I'm at a bit of a loss. There are some good ideas here, but everything is far too bare bones and easy to really engage me. I can fully understand that not every game needs to be enter the gungeon level of difficulty and depth, but this feels far too shallow. Minecraft Dungeons is not an outright terrible gameplay experience, but it also isn't a very engaging one. We're giving the gameplay here a 2 out of 5.
The Orb of Dominance.
I can stop moaning for a section because this game looks pretty fantastic. Let's start off with the highlight, the world design. Minecraft style has been emulated wonderfully here and everything looks fantastic. The lighting also does a fantastic job in bringing more life to each area, and I cannot praise this enough. Particle effects look good, the ranged attacks are always visually communicated to the player in a clear but thematic way. There are a few examples, like the tiny white shulker orbs, which are really hard to spot in the chaos of a fight, but these are few and far between. The enemy you're targeting is always highlighted in a colour of your choice, and it makes managing the chaos a lot easier. Enemy designs all look fantastic. Everyone is far more animated than in Minecraft, and it makes for very fluid fights. Enemies fly all over the place, but keep their Minecraft flair in their animations and attacks. Menus and UI are always nice and clear, but are thematic. It's always easy to see all of the information you need and make plans based off of it. The only thing missing from the HUD is an audio cue for when your rechargeable abilities refresh. Sometimes in a big fight, it's not a deal breaker, but it would be a nice quality of life. The OST fades into the background so much that I wasn't even sure it was there for the first third of my playthrough. Listening to it on its own, it's fine. It's nothing memorable and honestly kind of boring. There were also a few arenas where enemies would completely blend into the environment. This is good from an art perspective. Enemies should look like the places they inhabit, but bad from an art meets gameplay perspective, as it means that the player has a harder time interpreting information during the chaos. Overall, Minecraft Dungeons is getting a 4 out of 5 for art direction. This is a high 4, just on the cusp of 5. That environment design is really pretty, but there are some issues present that hold it back.
Shunned by his kin, Arch-Illager wanders the land, seeking a new
Keeping
home.
in theme with lack of depth, we have the narrative. The story here is that there's an evil orb, and it makes this one fella evil, and now he's going to take over the land. There is zero depth here, but this is the bare minimum you need to give the gameplay some context, and it's not outright terrible. In each level, some villagers are captured, and you need to save them. But outside of that, there's no real narrative link to the gameplay. Sure, there are loads of monsters running around, but Minecraft is a world with loads of monsters running around in general. There's no real sense of impending danger. This is just the status quo. The narrative is delivered via a short cutscene at the beginning of each level, and then resolved, but not really at the end, because we need to make room for the DLC. As with the gameplay, there's no real substance here, nothing to really engage you. It's context and nothing else, delivered in the most boring way, and it gets the minimum score of 1 out of 5. Minecraft Dungeons is a decent content offering, backed by some nice settings, but we did have some technical issues. The most prominent one we're going to mention here, and only major issue, was that we'd get stuck on terrain. A lot. This makes the movement feel even worse and is a common occurrence. Content-wise, you're getting 10 main levels, 10 secret levels, daily challenges, a camp hub, the tower, and loads of loot to find. The game has a decent but compact scope, and there are 6 DLCs if you want more. I'm not the biggest fan of this approach though, as the game feels a bit incomplete without the DLCs, but what you get at a base level is serviceable. Settings-wise, there are some nice tweaks. Here's what you can change. There is a brightness slider, and you can toggle tutorial hints. You can also scale the HUD. Controls can be viewed and completely remapped. The base controls are nice and comfortable, but this is always a wonderful quality of life feature. Controller vibration can be toggled, and dead zones can be adjusted via slider for each stick. There are sliders for master, music, SFX, ambience, dialogue, and video volume. You can enable screen narration. Subtitles can be toggled, but have no further options. This is fine, however, as the subtitles are nice and readable with a background. Screen shake can be toggled. You can choose what colour enemies are outlined in, but cannot disable this outline if you wish to do so. Chat wheel has 2 control options. Overall, Minecraft Dungeons is getting a 4 out of 5 for specs. The settings are great, and the base content offering is nice, although feels incomplete in the face of the DLCs, and getting stuck on the environment felt far too common. It took me just over 2 hours to run through Minecraft Dungeons for the first time. As the game wants you constantly replaying levels, this is perfectly fine. Each level took me around 20 minutes, and overall it is very easy to hop in, play a few levels, and hop out. Tower runs take around 30 to 40 minutes at a maximum, but you can save at any completed floor, which is really nice. Overall, it is very easy to fit Minecraft Dungeons into your free time. Hard drive footprint is nice and tiny. On Xbox Series S, we were being asked to give up 5.1 gigabytes, and on PlayStation 5, 4.23 gigabytes. This is a tiny install and won't take long with slow internet, nor eat up a lot of your hard drive. There are 3 battle passes that are all progressed with challenges. These just suck and feel like a needless grind for worthless rewards. I cannot recommend buying nor completing these. There are 6 DLC packs, and whilst these are reasonably priced, I don't like how they're handled. They are just more game, but like I said in specs, the base game feels pretty bare bones in the face of the DLCs. A good DLC is the fries to go with your base game burger. These DLCs feel a bit like the other half of the burger, and it hurts the commitment to the base game because it feels like you need to spend more money to get the whole experience. We should also touch on how pointless the grind felt. It never felt like I was working towards something larger, and the game lacks the depth to keep me engaged. In all honesty, I felt like I was wasting my time playing this game. All of this together lands Minecraft Dungeons with a 2 out of 5 on our commitment scale. It's easy to fit in and doesn't ask a lot of your hard drive, but there are some serious commitment issues present.
You've made it to the abhorrent abode of the Arch-Illager.
I don't think Minecraft Dungeons is worth your time. It's pretty, sure, but it is ultimately boring. There are some interesting ideas at play here, but there is just absolutely zero depth to anything. It really does feel like a baby's first dungeon crawler, and whilst games like this definitely have their place, it just isn't for me.